Hello, Reverend Carol here, and today I'll be bringing you the story, Too Many Changes. How many of you feel that way? We've had a lot of changes in the past year and a half. It's a lot of changes and going back and forth, being in school, then all of a sudden being out of school, being at home. Now we're back in school. How have you been able to handle some of those changes? It can be kind of scary and a little bit stressful at times, can't it? Well, I hope you've done well with those changes. We know that there's one thing, though, that never, ever changes, and that's God, that spirit that lives within all of us. And they say that going through changes, especially changes that we choose, is really kind of good for our brains. It's because our brains are made to adapt and to change with new experiences. And it's really only the outer things that change. Who we are inside, that never really changes. And if we're looking for ways to learn, well, that means we're changing. So we're always changing on the outside. Our life is always changing. But who we are in the inside, that connection to God that lives within us, that is changeless. So I want to start with our affirmation. And it is, I will always look for ways to learn and be loving to others. I'm going to say that 2 more times. I will always look for ways to learn and be loving to others. I will always look for ways to learn and be loving to others. And the story today is called Too Many Changes. Gemma kicked a pile of melting snow, and the cold slush splattered her pants. She remembered how fluffy and beautiful the snow had been just yesterday. Why did the snow have to melt? Why couldn't it just stay pretty and white all the time? The melting snow added to Gemma's already grumpy mood. Her grandmother always came to visit before Christmas and they made cookies together, but she had called to say her trip was delayed until Christmas Eve. Now everything was different, and Gemma walked all the way to her friend's house frowning and kicking slush piles. Miles answered her knock and let her in. He wore a gold crown on his head and a big grin on his face. Without even saying hello, he just burst out with, Evan said I could be king. Gemma was surprised. But you're supposed to be a shepherd. You're always a shepherd. What's wrong with being a shepherd? Gemma and Miles were part of a nativity play that happened every Christmas at their church. She had come over to Miles' house for the first rehearsal and costume fitting. My old shepherd costume doesn't fit me anymore, and Evan said I was tall enough to be one of the kings, so I'm a king, not a shepherd. Miles led Gemma to the family room where costumes were laid out all over the furniture. Her unhappy scowl changed to a happy smile when Gemma saw the familiar angel wings and gowns shimmering on the sofa. The one she wore last year looked much smaller than she remembered, but it was just as beautiful. The other players arrived, and it was cheerful chaos as everyone tried costumes and wings and talked about last year's play and the king who sprained his ankle and played his part on crutches. Miles' parents had directed the play for years, but this year they were too busy with a new baby. So Evan was in charge. He had some different ideas, and he even suggested that Gemma could try playing the innkeeper. But Gemma had always been an angel, and she didn't want to be something different. She almost cried when she discovered her favorite costume was too small. She dug through the pile of angel dresses. Luckily, she was able to pick out a larger one that was almost the same as her old one and came with wings that had real feathers. Then Miles and Gemma helped their friend Albert get into his shepherd outfit. The one Miles used to wear fit Albert perfectly. Miles still stood back and looked at him. You make a great shepherd, but next year you could be a king with me. You'll be taller then. Albert shook his head. That would be fun. But remember, I'll probably move before then. So we better just focus on this play. Albert's family moved often because of his parents' business. He had lived in many places around the world. Last year, they had spent Christmas in France. Next year, Christmas could be in Germany or Russia or anywhere. Gemma was puzzled. And then Albert didn't seem to be bothered by his changeable life. I wish you could just stay here and things could be the same next year. Can't just one thing stay the same? How can you be so calm when your life changes all the time? Her frustrated question surprised Albert. I like it here, and I like you and Miles. I know I'll be sad to leave, but think, if I hadn't have moved here, we wouldn't be friends. Miles nodded in agreement. When the costumes were all decided, they sang through the carols for the program. Albert sang beautifully and even taught them Joy to the World in French. Everyone but Gemma thought it would be fun to sing a carol in French during the play. As she gave her costume to Miles' mother to hang up with the others, she remembered baby Jesus. Every year, Gemma's favorite baby doll was used for baby Jesus in the nativity play. She ran over to Evan to tell him. Evan very kindly thanked Gemma for her offer of the doll, but explained, I think it would be more fun for Miles' parents to play Mary and Joseph and their new baby to be Jesus. That way, they all get to take part. We may need to use your doll next year, though. So thank you, Gemma. Too upset to talk, Gemma went to the bedroom to get her coat so she could go home. Albert saw the look on her face and followed her. What's wrong, Gemma? He asked her as she looked at the piles of coats on the bed. You wouldn't understand. You like things to change. Well, I don't. Everything is different, and I don't want to be in this dumb play if they're going to change it all. Why can't just one thing stay the same? Gemma tried not to cry. Actually, I do understand, Gemma. Last year, when I was learning Christmas carols in French, I felt like you do. It seemed like everything was strange and different. Then I realized something important. Albert paused. What? Gemma was curious enough to ask. I was singing Joy to the World in a whole other language, but inside, I still felt like me. I realized that everything could be very different on the outside, but inside, I was still me, and I still loved singing Joy to the World. I still felt the same happy feeling when I sang it, even in another language. Gemma thought about what Albert said as she walked home in the slushy snow. She thought about her grandmother and realized that she loved her grandmother the same, whether she came tomorrow or next week. And they would love each other even if the snow melted. And they would love each other if Gemma was an angel or an innkeeper or a shepherd. And there were some things that never changed. She might practice singing Joy to the World in French. She could teach it to her grandmother too. If she stayed in the play, it may be her only chance to do it with Albert. And Miles might be nervous about being a king and need her support. she could try it and see what happened. So have you ever been upset when circumstances around you have changed? Why do you think it can be so hard to adjust to changes? Do you think moving a lot like Albert would be fun? Can you think of one thing in life that doesn't ever change? These are all great questions, and I'm sure you know the answer. Well, we all here at Unity of Austin miss you and we love you. We hope all is going well for you and your families. And I'm going to close with our blessing to you. We love you. We miss you. We appreciate you. And we behold the Christ in you. Have a wonderful day.